Hi, my name is Slade Gardner. I'm an expert in advanced manufacturing and materials. I've spent about 20 years in the aerospace and the space industry, leading the strategy evolution and technology development and road mapping necessary for the products of the future in the space and aerospace industry sectors. I'm really excited to be involved with the Mars City Design project, especially as a member of the jury. The project is very much needed thought leadership towards how the evolution of technology, culture, and behavior will need to progress if we are going to inhabit Mars. There's so many underlying principles that will need to be addressed for culture, architecture, agriculture, medicine, even behavior and typical day-to-day practices that we will only begin to understand when we imagine ourselves on Mars and when we begin to role play or simulate or practice being on Mars. And Mars City Design is opening up some of the front-end concepts, really providing the thought leadership for the necessary developments, the necessary practices of when humans are going to be on Mars. And we won't be humans anymore, we'll be Martians as we go to Mars, which is an interesting concept in itself because there's going to be an evolution of the Homo sapien. There's going to be a change in the way that people think, behave, act, move. There's going to be different priorities for living on Mars than there are on Earth, and it's exciting to think and to wonder about what some of these priorities might be. A deficiency on Earth may indeed be an advantage on Mars, so that's a concept that I've been very interested in exploring. Well, that's a great question. The next step for humans to go to Mars, I think we've imagined ourselves in the context of the technology of going to Mars and the survivability requirements of going to Mars. But when you think about the cultural aspects, and not just surviving, but living and loving and growing on Mars, I think that the next steps involve the humanization of it all. It's going to involve the more refined and artistic elements of humanity, the design, the culture, the fashion, the things that make human beings people, the language and the communication. That may not change as we go to Mars, but if you've ever dreamed of yourself living and wearing a spacesuit, it may or may not appeal to you, but the humanity of it, the human aspect, there may be a fashion or a design evolution that's required to get people comfortable with wearing that kind of a gear on a daily basis. The environment, do you really want to live in a small metal capsule, or do you want to imagine yourself living in a different way? And so for humans to make it to Mars as a culture rather than as surviving as a being, I think that the next step is the progression of the humanity towards living on Mars. The subtle, artistic, cultural, and fashionable aspects that make humans people.
That's beautiful. Last question, Slade. In like one phrase, what do you think Mars City Design is?
Mars City Design is the thought leadership towards the human aspects of sustainable living on Mars, where it's not survivability, it's actual human cultural living.